Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
All right, ready to rock? Yeah, ready. Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for gathering together and committing yourself to listening to me for so long. It's already a very, that's a big commitment. So we're here to talk about Mr. Shem, Aleph Nssan. It's a very special day, of course. I don't need to convince you of that. Hopefully, Mr. Shem, we'll talk about some important and relevant points. Just, would it be okay if I do like a little?
Absolutely.
Okay, because, generally speaking, it's a little difficult for me to talk to people who I have no idea who they are, where they're holding. So just a quick thing, I walked into work the other day and I asked a coworker, I was about to ask him how you're doing, but that was a stupid question. No one cares. He knows that I don't care how he's doing. And he knows, and I don't really care how he's doing, really. So I decided I'll ask him something that will make him think maybe just a little bit more. So this is what flew into my head, and I'm literally happened the other day, so I'll just do that with you. I asked him, what is something that disturbed you today? So he told me a whole story about his baby fell off the bed, whatever, the whole thing. Thank God the baby's fine. So we'll go through that real quick, and we'll see if anything we could, perhaps we can address some of the things that are disturbing you today. So, this happened actually, to be honest, it happened last week. So I went on the Shabbos table and asked this, and someone told me Mashiach isn't here yet, and that's fine. But I challenged him and said, really, that disturbed you today? And he's only 19, so I'll let him have it. But if it's true, fine. But I made him dig a little deeper. But if that's what's disturbing, then go right ahead. But if no pressure. If you want to pass for sure.
So we're going around saying what disturbs us today?
Yeah, anything random. Yeah.
Oh, I saw a fucker get hit on a scooter again. Oh,
right. Bye. On a car? A car hit him?
Oh my God.
Was it like bad or?
I didn't stay to watch, but it looked like his leg was hurt. I made sure someone had already called, and then I left to see.
You weren't guilty of the bystander effect. Okay, fine.
I've seen too many.
Okay, that is disturbing. I'm sorry. That is disturbing. I'll give you that.
Yes. Yeah. No pressure, guys.
For me, disturbing.
Something we didn't like today.
That I came here late. That was very disturbing.
Yeah, I'm looking special and I see disturbing things like every day. I can't believe the stuff I see. So,
why?
Okay, one day this week, the kids stood inside the toilet.
Oh,
That.
Yeah. Okay.
That's actually compliment though.
What? Inside the toilet.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's just move around. Anyone else, and then we'll carry on.
Someone tried to come into the museum without paying on the membership.
Did that really disturb you?
Yeah, it was really annoying.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, because sometimes. Oh, I was really irritated. I actually came to work on 10, and there was somebody who had to cover for a certain time on the clock, and that person didn't show up and didn't show up again. And then I had to go get my things done, but I could not get my work done because the other person, I was really irritated, and then I had to sit down and take a deep breath and okay, it's fun, but I really was irritated because I have so much to cover for Pesach. Yeah, so that was really irritating. People who are not showing up on time.
That is irritating. Yes, especially when
And it's
working. Absolutely. Okay. Anyone else, and then we'll. Wow, it's a very, very complacent group.
I could say I was disturbed today at work. I need to do a lot of shopping, and that if no one else is there, even if I did want to do it, I have to consciously, whatever, just make sure I wasn't going to hurt my back.
Like physical shopping? Wow. Is that like pre-Pesach trauma type of thing?
I mean, it's just that we're trying to follow bajillion orders with a bajillion pieces this week.
Got it. Okay.
It's not my position, so.
So you're cramming. Okay.
On
Oh.
behalf of. What we decided.
Okay, fine. Okay, so and what disturbs me usually on a regular basis is usually has to do with my kids. So today, yeah, this just happens all the time. So this is an easy one, but if I lose my temper on my children, that disturbs me. So that's what I'm working with today. Anyways, okay, so hopefully we'll anything that we'll talk about, if it addresses anything that disturbed you. I don't know about the guy hit by a car. I'm not sure how I can help with that one, but let's talk about whatever. We'll see how the chips fall. Okay, so have any of you learned the mimer that B'yem Ashtiyasar for Aleph Nssan? I'm sure some of you, most of you, all of you, at least one of you have. It's a beautiful mimer, and there's a lot in that mimer. It's very long, it's very deep, and there's a lot of ideas. And there's probably 3 code words that you can pick from the mimer that, and I always joke about this with my kids when it comes to Aleph Nssan. Like I could literally hear these 3 words ringing in my ears. Like every Farbrengen that I went to for Aleph Nssan, and that must be at like 4 a.m. screaming these 3 words. What are the 3 words from the mimer, anybody? If you had to pick 3 words from the mimer. Here you go, you got it. Very good. I could just see like must be deep in the Farbrengen somewhere in 770, like I'm into a pool of whatever, screaming those words again and again and again. So those are like kind of seared into my memory. So what happens is when words get seared into your memory, sometimes you run the risk of not really knowing what they mean. You know, a lot of times if the words that we know the least of what they mean are the words we say the most, right? Like davening and other words of chassidus. But if you're living chassidus, you probably know what words of chassidus mean. But otherwise, yeah, it's a thing. That's why a lot of times people who don't have necessarily the pre-exposure or the exposure of learning chassidus their whole life have, in a way, they have an advantage of not having not having a file ready to go, made to order words that they could just trot out to translate certain things, and they're able to actually think about them in a meaningful way. So, I choose the king. Okay, very nice. You choose the king. What does that mean? So, if you look in the mimer, and I'm not going to give a share in the mimer. I'm sure you got share in the mimer the past who knows how long that were far more capable than I am. But if you had to break it down, the mimer gives 2 explanations as to what is the basic mimer, the question the mimer is setting out to explain. Mimer has this, quotes this medrash. Forget about the very beginning question, Usher, the carbon Usher, like technicalities. Once I get into the meat, the mimer brings this medrash about the guy, about the people, about the king who comes with his entourage. There's all sorts of various ministers of various rank, and different people choose ministers of different rank, right? And then the medrash there says that there's this pikach, right? There's this clever dude, clever guy, and he chooses the king. So the question that the mimer is setting out to explain is, what's so clever about choosing the king? That seems to be the obvious choice, right? So generally speaking, it breaks down into 2 explanations, right? Is that how you learned it? It's 2 explanations. One brings you into about a Zayin, I think it is. And then from there to the end, which it goes way off the deep end, which I've learned it 100 times, still don't really understand. But anyway, the first explanation is, so we'll talk about that and we'll see where it goes. The first explanation hinges upon what? Anybody?
Like the source.
What's the first explanation? I guess it brings you for I think it's through Esbab or Zayin. Okay.
So seemingly, like you could go to each minister who works with you, you're more likely to get it than going to.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's easier.
It's more available, and
And they're local. They're locally. They're present. They're not far up in the castle.
right. I mean, well, here we're talking about the entourage, so they're all kind of. Question is, huh? Yeah, that would be if you were accessing them, where they are. Okay, so the first, so along the lines of what you said, the first explanation of mimer talks is primarily, but I want to get into more like what it means, right? We'll say it. Let's try to unpack it, what it actually means, right? So the first explanation is about prioritizing my ego versus the relationship. If I want to use those terms. What do I mean by that? I mean, the words that the Mimer uses is that the other ministers, they are more available and you get more stuff. They can give you more stuff because they're more forgiving, because they give more, because they are not as discriminatory or as discriminatory is a good word. They're not as, they don't scrutinize as much, so they give more. Whereas for the king, to get from the king himself, you're going to have to be much more worthy, and you don't necessarily get as much. That's more or less what the Maimon will say. So, if you're looking out for what works out for me, if you're looking out for the most stuff that you can get, how much you can milk out of the relationship, so you wouldn't necessarily choose the king himself, because you're not going to get as much stuff. You would choose the other more available ministers because they're giving out more freebies. The king is more what's the word I'm looking for? He's more just not discretionary. The king is more what? He's more discerning. Okay, the king is more discerning, and you will not necessarily get as much. So why would you pick that? Why would you pick something where you're going to get less? So here, this is the question. That's what makes the pikach. That's what makes him clever. What makes him clever is that he's willing to forgo, he or she is willing to forgo getting more stuff, getting more actual physical or experiences or stuff in the pursuit of being in a relationship with the king himself. And this is the idea of understanding. That's why I used the words before, of understanding what it means to prioritize a relationship over your own ego. I mean, I don't know. Relationships are really a funny thing. Relationships are what keep the world going. Relationships are, they're a lot of fun. But every person is in any number of relationships. And the first and primary relationship that we have is with Hashem. So now, but Hashem is the whole Hashem, everything is this premise is that we understand the relationship with Hashem through the window or through the eyeglasses of our human relationships. So our human relationships give us an idea of how to kind of translate and import that back over into our relationship to Hashem. So let's think about it. What does it mean to have to prioritize the relationship itself versus what I can get out of the relationship? What do you think that would mean? What would it look like?
If it's not all about what I'm getting, then I'm going to give more. Okay,
it's not all about again. I'm going to give more. That could be. I could also yeah. What's on your mind?
Despite what the other person is doing, but that's not necessarily good either. But then you're not even thinking about the other person in your relationship.
Right. True. So I'm not talking about what you're giving necessarily. I'm talking about what you're getting. Right now, relationships are not necessarily about what you get. Meaning, in the sense, meaning you could get from a relationship in a fulfillment sense, like if the relationship it fulfills you, yes, God willing, it will, and hopefully it does. But it doesn't necessarily give you material, tangible things. Not always. And in fact, when a relationship is important, what becomes the most important part of a real relationship is actually the relationship itself. It's not what either party is getting out of the relationship. That is precisely what makes a real relationship the most rich and the most enduring. Similar to how many of you live in Lakota Torah? Any of you live in Lakota Torah? There's a beautiful piece in the you do. It's good. It's good stuff. So there's a beautiful piece in the Lakota Torah, Parshas Nssan, right at the very beginning. Well, the Alter Rebbe talks about what does it mean to have a Christus bris, to have this treaty, a covenant between two parties. Now, what's the covenant for? Why? So the Alter Rebbe is kind of dealing with this question: is why would two friends, famously, you have David and Nssan, Christus bris, but why would two people? The Alter Rebbe doesn't use the word friends. He uses, I forget the word he uses actually. I translated it once. I used the term lovers, but I don't know if that's not the word he uses. But either way, two parties. Why would two parties enter into relationship and make a bris, make a treaty at the beginning of the relationship? Which, if you think about it, is really what a marriage is, right? That's essentially what a marriage is. A marriage is what elevates a marriage beyond any other relationship between a man and woman living together. What elevates it is that there's a Christus bris, there's a treaty at the beginning, there's a pact that's made between the two parties, and that is the marriage, right? So why would two parties do that? So the Alter Rebbe explains that the parties, the Christus bris exists to elevate the relationship into this, to introduce this higher entity into the relationship itself. That that no matter that right now we love each other, so it's natural for us to want to be with each other and to be committed to one another because we like each other or we love each other, depending on the nature, if it's a platonic, romantic relationship, whatever. So either we like each other, we love each other, so now we're committed to each other because it's working. But you want to be able to have insurance when it's not working, because a lot of times it may not. So what do you do then? You just check out? Some people do that. So the Kritzas Bris, the covenant, the treaty, the agreement, the pact, the commitment says that the relationship is something greater than the sum of us, and that's greater than the sum of us, just one and two. It's this third thing that hovers over both of us, that encompasses us both. It's greater than both of us. So that's what we're committed to, and we're constantly feeding into that by being with each other. That's more or less what the author explains over there in the Parshas itself. So that's the nature of true relationships. So it exists on the human realm, and it certainly exists between us and Hashem. If you're looking to get stuff, and some people have this conception of what Hashem means. Hashem exists as and people call it like the ATM, right? Hashem exists as an ATM. That when things are going bad, or you ask, why do people daven? So if you just translate the 18, 19 brachas in Shemona Esrei, you just translate them on a very simplistic level. It's not the first and last three, but the middle, the core of Shemona Esrei during the weekday. It is an ATM. We're asking Hashem, give me this, give me that, give me this, give me that, give me health, give me wealth, make sure Mashiach comes, make sure the Beis Hamikdash. We're asking all these things. We're asking God for things. So for many people, that is the kind of the extent of the relationship with Hashem. Hashem exists to give them things and to sustain them, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, the way I'm framing it, it sounds a little primitive and it sounds a little bit self-serving, but it's actually not. It's not terrible. It's actually, in fact, how many Jews throughout the years, throughout the millennia, have conceived of who Hashem is and what Hashem does, and that could definitely be the basis of a very rich and meaningful connection to Hashem. Because again, there's a lot. We need a lot of stuff. We're human beings with very complex and multifaceted lives. So we need Hashem constantly in our lives. We always need Him. We need to help us with this. We need to help us with that. We need to get this person out of my life. We need to get this person in my life. We need Hashem for all types of things. So that's fine. That's very fair. And when no one's calling you, you're not a villain for thinking that way. But here in the Maimon, the Rebbe teaches us something far greater. But 1 second, that's not what a real relationship is about. The pikchus, the cleverness that is required here is to understand that I'm not here to get stuff from Hashem. That's not what it's about. If it was about that, then maybe I would be serving Him in that way. And if He wasn't giving me the stuff that I need, I'd be checking out. Maybe. And that's why, like as in the language of the Bible, that's why the other people, they will pick the various other ministers. But this person, he says or she says that no. I understand that my relationship with Hashem is not about what I can get out of it. My relationship with Hashem is about what Hashem wants from me. My relationship with Hashem is about the relationship itself. The relationship itself is, Hashem says what it is. Hashem says, I want you to serve me. I was mamish thinking about it as I was walking here. One of the most simplistic, basic, famous Maimonic Chazal that there is. And I don't know why, it was just hitting me because I'm talking about this with someone recently a lot. A lot of people, want to know their purpose in life. You want to use the fancy French words, you want to know the raison d'etre. And it's a question. Huh? A lot of people spend a lot of time trying to figure that one out. And it's a very good question. It's a very, very good question. And if you don't have the answer to the question, it becomes very, very disturbing. But the Chazal told us very simply. It says it right out there. Right? I have one purpose. I'm here to serve Hashem. Now, what does that mean? I'm here to serve Hashem. It has many, many, many manifestations. But the core of the core mandate is already there. Core mandate is already there. I'm here to serve Hashem. Now, it's a very tall order. It's a very tall order because as like in the language of the Maimonides, it says there's many very ministers along the way. There's many distractions along the way. There's many ways that you could serve, even in the context of serving Hashem, you could be doing it in a self-serving way. You're picking and prioritizing yourself, what you can get out of it, over what the relationship itself is, namely what you are supposed to be giving to Hashem, even if it means less. Now, do I have to elaborate what that means?
Even if it means less of what you're getting?
And what you're getting. No, you're be giving 100%. You may be getting much, much, much less, or what seems to be much less, but it doesn't matter because because that's what you're doing. I think we spoke about this last time because I believe I was here a number of years ago before Pesach.
Oh, really?
I think so. I don't know. Pesach is literally a very, very good time where this concept comes to play. You're laughing because you probably know what I mean already, right?
What was those one that started to like?
So I'll tell you. No, I mean, I exactly the levels in Kabbalah I can't tell you, but I can tell you what it means to look. Yeah, I can tell you what it looks like in real life. So it means when you serve Hashem, are you serving Hashem for you or are you serving Hashem for Hashem? What's the difference? I'll tell you very simply. You're going to come to the Seder. Okay. Now let me give you the perspective of parents who prepares for a Seder. But because that's just my world. Your world, everyone has their world. I can only tell you my world. I mean, I can try to paint your world, but I'm not going to do such a good job because I don't really know your world, but I don't mind. So prepare for the Seder. You know what it takes to prepare for a Seder? It takes a lot. It takes a lot to prepare for a Seder. Okay? You have to clean your house. You have to clean your house again and again. Cash your kitchen and do over the kitchen. You have to buy thousands and thousands of dollars worth of stuff. And you have to invest, more and more. You have to buy this overpriced cracker that keeps on going up every year. And you have to buy more wine than you could think of. And you have to do so much. And then you have to prepare all the stuff. That's not to say that this year it's going to be even more crazy because it's our Motzei Shabbos. So you don't even have time. I mean, there's actually, in a way, it's kind of nice because you actually get to nap before the Seder happens because there's not much you can do Shabbos afternoon. But Friday is going to be Chas v'shalom. But I don't think most people don't have a problem sleeping Shabbos afternoon. So it's not a deviation from the norm.
Except for the actual kids.
Yeah, they're not sleeping. Aftalachas. So the mayhem that occurs and the work that goes into it is just totally insane. And you come to the Seder, sounds the Seder night, and you inevitably have a Seder, a table full of Baruch Hashem children, and the children are of different ages. Now let me explain. Children of different ages have very different needs. Children that are young need to be put to bed. Children are like, 5, 7, that bracket. They need to be given full attention, and they need to say every song and every Torah, and then I'll show you all their gutters and the sheets and the props and the projects. They know that. The older ones are incredibly frustrated because they're not interested in seeing through all this stupid Torah that this Rabbi told the 7-year-old kid. They want to get on with the program. They already know everything. They said it all. And then the older one already had 2 cups of wine, so he's b'chlal, totally where he shouldn't be. So, and then there's so many moving parts, right?
And everyone's hungry.
And everybody's hungry, and everybody's thinking, so chaos can ensue, and it always does. It always does. It's such a perfect maelstrom of things that there's so many things that can go wrong. We always talk about how beautiful the Seder is, but the reality is there are so many things that could go wrong right now. So now here's where you go. Now here's as a parent or as an adult, it doesn't matter who you are. I'm talking to a thinking adult, okay? So now, who are you serving? Are you serving Hashem or are you serving yourself? So now what happens is you finally sit down, you have everything ready, and then that one kid spills a cup of wine on the whole table. And he ruins 3 pounds of Tana Rishon matzah that you pay $60 a pound for, right? So now you're $180 in the hole. He's killed all the matzah, and you have to clean the whole table and start all over again. Who do you serve, Hashem or yourselves? If you serve that, if you did all this and you're very frum and you had those matzahs that costed you the price of gold, right? So then the fact that your 7-year-old son spilled wine on those golden matzahs, he deserves to be lynched. I mean, at least, right? He's getting in the way. He's getting in between you and Hashem. Who did I buy these matzahs for? I spent $60 a pound of matzahs for me. I need $60 matzahs? Of course not. Hashem, I bought it for Hashem. Why did I buy these matzahs, plated in gold leaf? I bought it for Hashem, not for me, right? So someone, I'm saying in the price. So this kid who can't sit on his hands in his pants and can't sit still for 1 second, he's getting in between me and God. So he deserves to be out. So you yell and you scream and you throw a tantrum, an adult tantrum, which are much worse than kid tantrums. And that's because who are you? Because ultimately you're serving, you're serving yourself, you're not serving Hashem. If you serve Hashem, so you tell yourself, okay, listen. The same Hashem who told him, the same Hashem who I wanted to honor with $60 matzahs, Apparently, he doesn't want me to honor him with $60 matzahs. I don't know why, but he doesn't want me to honor. How do I know he doesn't want me to honor him with $60 matzahs? Because my son spilled wine all over the matzahs. So obviously, he doesn't want them. Why? I don't know. He wants me to control my temper. That's what he wants you to do. And he wants me to still love my child and explain to him, it's fine, don't worry. We'll get more matzahs, that's fine. That's what he wants me to do. And with that, that's when I really serve Hashem. That's not the difference. Who are you serving? You serve yourself or you serve Hashem? If you serve yourself, you yell at your kid, you give him a patch, and you tell him that you ruined my matzahs, you ruined my Pesach, you mamish, you destroyed my relationship with David. I'm being extreme, but I've seen that, but hopefully we have more mature adults than that. But these things manifest in all kinds of in many, many different ways. So this is what. So I think that's what it means to choose Hashem versus choosing yourself. And you can choose yourself. It's so. In the life of a parent, I can give you literally a million examples of this dynamic playing itself out over and over and over again. The kids, the adults screaming at the kids in the show, and the people. And I don't know. There's a million examples. Oh, who do you serve? Do you serve Hashem, or do you serve yourself? What did you do this for? Why did you do this? Did you do this? Why did you go crazy for your Hummus and Pesach? Why did you buy? Why? What did you do it for? You did it because you want to feel good about yourself, because you want to feel from. You want to so if you want to feel from, so go feel from. Go be a priest. If you want, but if you do it because you want to serve Hashem, okay. So this is what Hashem threw in your lap. Deal with it. That's So I was reading this Kesser Shem Tov, and it's very interesting because usually when we talk about in the Chabad theology of Dir B'Tachtainim, how we exist, we're here in this world to make this world a home for Hashem, and that's why we have to go and find give matzah to the one guy in a gas station somewhere in Afghanistan, and because there's a certain spark that's hanging out in Afghanistan that has to be redeemed, and finally when we get that one, then Mashiach's going to come. There's this whole plan, right? We have this whole map that we're trying to cover, and like a spiritual map. It's and we're trying to find every last spark, and when we're going to finally redeem it all, the cosmic plan will be finished, and Mashiach will come, right? Is anything I just said familiar to you? I hope so. Yeah, okay, good. That's usually how we talk about it. But in this Kesser Shem Tov, the Shem doesn't say that. He doesn't talk about Dir B'Tachtainim of how when someone gets in your way and starts talking to you on your way to doing a mitzvah, you have to find. He talks about Hashem wants you to serve him in many different ways. The name of the game is about you. The name of the game is here. You are the map. You are the map. It's not finding the guy in the gas station in Tasmania. That's not the map. The map is you. Me, I'm the map. Hashem wants me to find out all kinds of different ways that I could serve him. Why does he want that? I don't know. I don't have the answer. Maybe he wants to do, probably because he wants to figure out what it means to actually serve. What it means to actually be his servant versus my own. So if I'm serving him to serve myself, I'm using just him as a pretext to pump myself up and to find some excuse for my sorry life. So fine. So then I'll settle on one way that I know how to do it really well. I daven every day from 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock a.m. And if anybody deters me from being in shul at 8 o'clock, I will steamroll them out of my way. And if anybody disturbs me in shul until I finish davening at 9 a.m., I will steamroll them out of my way. And I will never change. I will never change. And if my wife needs me to be home at 8:05, I will not, because I need to be in shul from 8 to 9. And if you want to get me out of, if you're gonna move that goalpost, then you're getting between me and God. So out. That's if it was about me, but it's not about me. Hashem says, no. I want you to serve me, not yourself. So if you want to daven to me, I want you to daven at all different times. Not all different times. Yeah, within a window, right? And of course, everyone should have a time. Everyone should have a set time to daven. I'm not advocating that you just free fall, whatever. But the point is, when the time demands, for whatever reason, If there's a legitimate reason for you to be nimble, then you be nimble, because that's what Hashem wants you to do. That's the first half of the mimer. There's one more point in the second half of it. I don't even know what time it is.
8:51.
But it's really all the same point. In general, I mean, it's a good thing I only covered once in like 5 years, because I really only wanted to say. So this is it. You heard it. This is it. It's done. But just to elaborate on this point a little bit more. So in the second half of the mimer, the Rabbi gives a very different explanation. Not very different, a different explanation, which I would consider to be far deeper. And again, like I told you, I don't think I really understand it myself. So I'll tell you the words and we'll see where it goes. The way the Rabbi explains it there is that because the Rabbi ultimately asks that at the end of the day, the guy who's choosing the king over the not getting versus not to receive less versus the guy who serves the minister, chooses the ministers to receive more. It's not so clever, because at the end it's because it's still a little bit self-serving, because then he's doing it because he wants the king himself. So he wants to be within the king's good graces. So it's still a little ultimately self-serving. So the Rebbe wants to dig even deeper. And where the Rebbe goes with this is that ultimately to have that choice, to know that that to not get distracted with anything along the way, to know that I want the core of Hashem himself. That's a certain drive that naturally a person will never choose. Naturally, a person will never choose such a path. Never do that. The only way you do that is if you're a pnimi. The only way you do that is if I know that anything else is only with the language the Maimon uses, I think somewhere like Tass or Yud, is that everything else is an emtsoi. Everything else is a medium to get there. Everything else is a medium. It doesn't matter how high it is. Rebbe talks very much about the famous Alter Rebbe with davening. He'd roll on the ground. He would say, "I don't want to see any. I don't want Giluim. I don't Gan Eden. I don't want it. I want you." Right? Chassidim quote that a million times. There's so many different memoirs. Right? So that approach of the Alter Rebbe forms the basis of how we as Siddim are supposed to approach our Avodas Hashem and how we're supposed to approach life in general. Is to be a pnimi, and to be a pnimi is to be what? What does that mean? How do you translate the word pnimi in this context?
An inward person.
When you're inner.
It's not about your ego.
Very good. Yes, that's exactly how I translate pnimi.
What did you? Authentic.
Inner what? Inner man. 2 rooms, inner room. What's inner? Inner what? Yes. Very good. That's at least how I translate the word pnimi to myself to make it meaningful to myself. That to be a pnimi is to be authentic, because a chassid. So have you ever heard that phrase? A chassid is a pnimi. What does that mean?
Authentic.
Chassid is authentic. What does that mean? What does it mean that you're authentic?
He's inward.
What? He's inward. He experiences the essence. Oh, come on. So chassid is a pnimi. What does that mean? So first of all,
priority.
Okay, so Shama's priorities are
He absolutely
with his true self. Okay. Or her true self.
Serving
What?
on his terms.
Serving Hashem on his terms. Yeah, all of the above. That's a side point, by the way. This idea of chassid as a pnimi is authentic. We can use that to explain. I've had this conversation. This is totally a side point, nothing to do with anything. But it's interesting to me at least. Have you ever noticed on Chabad? We have I would say what we call a no frills Judaism. I can go through a whole list. Have you ever noticed this? I don't know how much you've noticed. How much of you hung out with other types of from Jews? I don't know what your exposure is. I mean, Karnataka is very homogeneous. So we have
Silver, there's no food for every occasion.
right. So yeah,
Like
no Atara on the talis, no Noya Sukkah, like you said. Many people have a silver asterisk box. We don't have that.
Sponsorship opportunities are less.
Much less. By the Seder, many people have this like a big elaborate, like either made out of lucite or even silver. Many people have. I mean, again, Minhagim changed, and I'm not.
The Rabbi also went a lot of silver.
Yes, it's the Rabbi. That's the Beis Harab. But many houses in Lubavitch have what's called a matzatash in Yiddish. Just a pocket, just a cloth. I mean, now you can get it made out of leather, custom made for $1,000, but it's there's a lot of that goes on. Even our lulav, right? Our lulav doesn't have that fancy braided thing. Many people have an asterisk, silver asterisk box. You don't see many of those in 770.
Like Palesim.
Our Torah, we don't have silver on our Torah. Well, on our Talis, what? Yeah, no, but any Lubavitch show, I mean. Our show is a disaster. I mean, aesthetically.
Yeah.
Every otherwise aesthetically, it's great.
Oh, no, of course. No, and also even on a,
Size-wise,
also like at a Shabbos table, we don't have any Zmiris. We specifically don't sing Zmiris. And Zmiris are beautiful.
Specifically, yeah.
Debatable. Many.
and for people with different hair.
Especially-
Sukkah.
Huh?
Sukkah.
Right, but someone mentioned that. No, sukkah. We don't decorate the sukkah. So basically, there's a lot that goes on. Why?
No masks.
No masks? Is that a COVID policy?
Fashion is not supposed to have like a mask, like, see, you be yourself and you see another Jew, it's not about like the layers of.
Right?
Maybe it's because we see the beauty in the mitzvah itself.
Exactly. That's what you'll hear a lot of times about. Like, it's the same thing. If by the way, so this one word, just use the word authenticity, authentic. It can help explain a lot of that. We're looking for an authentic Yiddishkeit. We don't need to like, a lot of times in marketing when they tell you when you buy something that's authentic or no frills, you get something that's really bare bones. So usually it's a marketing tool, right?
Right, there's like 3 ingredients.
Right. It's like it's authentic. It's salt of the earth. It's gonna have mamish dirt in it, right? So that's how people market it. The authenticity almost always is associated with something that's very stripped. It's stripped bare of all the frills. Because what's the premise there? That the frills are there for those who need them. It's to make it more accessible. It's to make it more. Yeah, I guess that's the best way I could say it. It's to make it more accessible. Right? I was speaking to someone the other day and he told me, how could you, he was blown away. Above a guy. He's like, you don't have Zmiris at your Shabbos table? No. He's like, he told me with a straight face, if I didn't have Zmiris at the Shabbos table, half the community would go fry. He told me there's so many stories of kids that go off and they come back for Shabbos just to sing Zmiris with the family. Kids are fry kids, they come back, they sing the Zmiris. And it's a beautiful thing. I'm not demeaning it. I think it's a beautiful thing. And maybe we could bring that back in because we have plenty of people who could benefit from that. But that's a side point. But so what then? Okay, so the replacement isn't to talk about Trump. The replacement is to see Gunim, Farbrengen. But the idea is that we need something authentic. Anyway, so go back to being a panini. So that's why the Babish she prides herself as being panini. We're sitting with panini. Authentic. We don't need silver on a talus to feel beautiful. The wool itself that's fraying and falling apart over my face. That's it. For some it works, some it doesn't. But anyways, in the context of Avodas Hashem, what does it mean to be a premium?
But isn't there like an opinion of Hitler mitzvah?
100%.
We're like really not Hitler mitzvah in terms of like, gosh, when it's Hitler.
But we are, meaning like we focus on the esrog, we focus on the wall,
Right.
the sukkah, we focus on.
We put a lot of
We don't
stuff.
add. Yeah.
We put a lot of stuff. We buy a nice sukkah, the esrog itself. Even the talus, the talus has the silk on top, which functions for 2 reasons, but one of them is to make it nicer, right? Also that the head shouldn't get mixed up. But it's a balance, right? You don't want to degrade it. And yes, a lot of times you always run the risk when you're too authentic. So what happens is people who don't catch the authenticity and they don't hop it, what do they get?
It's boring.
They get nothing. Right? If you have Zmiris, so if you don't get the authenticity Yiddishkeit, at least you have Zmiris, right? So you can sit and you can sing Zmiris, which is beautiful. Again, I'm really not putting it down. Okay, there's a large part of me that says we should bring it back. That for those who don't catch, but if you have the authenticity, then it's gewaltig. It's great, beautiful. But so yes, it's there's a risk. You definitely run a risk there. The jury's out. We'll see. It's up to us to really to be authentic as we can, as I can be, and hopefully radiate that to whomever I know.
So if Chabad, if you're inauthentic following Chabad minhagim, it's a total flop.
It's true.
It's
No,
you're
but
very
you
from
see-
following Chabad minhagim per se, but you're very from without like the authenticity. You end up with some weird situation.
Ah, very good. Exactly. Exactly. That's so that, by the way, which brings us again to Pesach. And this is we'll conclude this point. The idea of being a Pnimi, the Rebbe in the second half of the Maimer, that non-Nasimaka, to pick the king for the king himself, and to recognize that anything else along the way is a distraction, because I know who authentic Eibishter is. So I'll frame it just in the lens of a Sikha that I learned just this week. So I'll share it with you. Beautiful Sikha. You could share it to say there if you want, to bore everyone at the table. But it's about Kaisha Aliyah, so you can save it for the end, when everyone's already full and tired and not interested. But so the Rebbe talks about Kaisha Aliyah, and what's the source of the minhag? Why do we have a fifth cup? So there's a whole back and forth, the halacha, the Rambam, this and that. But I'm not going to bore you with the. I mean, it's not boring. I'm not going to get into the complexities of the halacha back and forth.
5 cups.
Say again.
Used to drink 5 cups.
You used to drink 5 cups, you said?
No. They used to, like, the passes around on whatever the, like.
There is a sheet that holds about
they
5 cups,
drink
yes.
5 cups at the Seder.
Yes.
In case we need it.
So
No,
The-
it's such like a basic, and like to know that wasn't how it was done all throughout history.
it's a minority opinion. Not everyone says that. Okay, so the Rebbe talks about this. It's a long halachic kasiyah. That's all, but it's a sikha, it goes into the halachic elements of it. But the conclusion the Rebbe arrives at is that the reason why is, in short, if the explanation is hinged upon the old 5th cup that used to be drunk, then which would account for why we pour it but don't drink it, because you could pour it to evoke or as a nod to that opinion. But you can't drink it because the majority opinion holds it's only 4, and you're not allowed to drink after the 4. So that's kind of why you do this happy medium of pouring it and not drinking it. The only problem with that explanation is that why then do we only do one for the whole table? Everyone should do their own. The same way you do all 4 in your own. Everyone should pour their own 5th cup and then pour it back. So the Rebbe moves on to a different explanation. Yeah. Because you lose a lot on the way back, right? So the Rebbe arrives at a different explanation. It's quoted in Rabbi Shulchan Aruch.
Or what if they spilled the 5th cup on the ton of Loschak? That was $60.
Then
That's like expensive.
then batters up. See how you respond. So the explanation the Rebbe quotes is that it's because the Pesach is the night of Geula, and we're waiting for Mashiach's arrival, and Eliyahu is going to come, and so we put the cup out for Eliyahu himself to hearken to the Geula Hasidah, which is going to come very soon. So that's why we don't drink it, because there's nothing to do about drinking. It's just it's for Eliyahu. Fine. So then the Rebbe goes on to explain. He doesn't really ask it as a question, but I'll paraphrase it as a question. But it's a recent minhag. It's a recent minhag. It's only about 500-600 years old, max, right? So in the context of halacha, that's recent. So, and the question is why is this a recent innovation? Why are we only talking about the Geula later, right? Okay, and then the Rebbe talks about how, and again, I'm reading a little bit more into the Sikha than it actually says there. Full disclaimer, but just for the context, it's a Sikha Chav Zayin, I think. So you can look it up yourself. Or it's one of the Chavs, Chav Zayin or Chav Gimel, I don't remember. So and then, which leads to a broader question, which the Rebbe himself asked by many Farbrengen. Namely, how is it possible that our generation will be the generation of Geula, right? Question the Rebbe asked many times. How could we have the chutzpah to think that we're going to be the ones in Mashiach? Because, a country like the stock market historically always goes up, right? And no matter what happens, the trajectory, it always trends upwards, right? You take it you zoom out, right? If you're zooming in and you're looking at last week, don't look at last week. But if you look at the S&P 500 over the past 100 years, it always trends up, right? Which is all the stock brokers always tell you. That's true. But that's so, and the arc of, what was the famous quote from President Obama? What did he say? The arc of history bends towards justice. That's what he said. The world on a historical level, the world has trended in a progressively upwards direction, right? So we've got less war. We don't kill each other at a rate that we used to do a couple thousand years ago. We live in a much safer, moral, just world. As much as it looks like it's going up in flames today, but historically, we're in a very, very good place relative to where we were even 200 years ago. So that's how it works. But on a spiritual level, the world is everything historically has trended down, right? Beis Hamikdash. How can you compare today to the Beis Hamikdash? How can you compare today even 100 years ago? 100 years ago, you go to any shtetl in Europe, you had tzaddikim, you had Talmidei Chachamim. Every kid was well versed in every. People were going fry back then, but not so in Eastern Europe. Everybody was from. That's also not true, but whatever. A lot more people were from. A lot more people were from. People were plugged in. And today we're just kind of zoned out. So how could we have the chutzpah to be the ones to bring Mashiach? Or in the narrower context of the Seder, why are we the ones pouring the Kasher Eliyah and anticipating the Gula? Why didn't they anticipate the Gula even earlier? Why didn't they pour the Kasher Eliyah for thousands of years? Why only the last couple hundred? So the answer the Rebbe gives. So what answer the Rebbe always gave? What's the answer the Rebbe usually gave? What do you? Very good. It's our feet song, so we all know it, right? So we're on giant shoulders, so it's accumulative. So even though we have trended progressively worse on a spiritual, but it is accumulative still. So we could really actually view it on a graph as trending up because it accumulates. That's one answer.
Or the world have trended spiritually downward.
The world has trended spiritually down, but any spiritual achievement that has ever been made is eternal. So on an accumulative level, it stacks up. So say again.
I'm saying it's not we that are spiritually lower.
We are much more. We are much spiritually lower. On a personal level, much more. We can't even compare ourselves to the previous generation, let alone generations before that. I mean, that's you think.
In terms of ability?
In terms of our spiritual level, our spiritual sophistication. Have you met people from the previous generation?
She learned a lot of the sikhs about how we are the greatest. We've had
Actually, I went to Beis Yaakov.
Oh.
You read that satire with something ingrained in me. That's why I don't.
To hear
Like-
also on the Bobich, it's
Right.
Exactly.
Oh, but it's they're not mutually exclusive, the two ideas. We on a personal level cannot be the Gemara itself says right? You know that quote? You're from Isaac, you heard that one for sure. What?
Giant shoulders.
Right,
That's why we can retire.
exactly
And also all the good accumulates, but what's not good just disappears.
correct.
So,
As good as eternal and negativity is not. Yes, that's all true. The Rebbe doesn't say any of that in this sikha. I don't really know what it says in the sikha. That's the problem when you that's part of my problem. The problem when you learn, you start reading into things versus reading the thing. So I can only tell you what I read into it. I can't tell you what it actually says. You want to look what it says, you can look there. But I can tell you what I read into it. What I read into it was like this. Yes, we're in a very spiritually unsophisticated time. Very spiritually numb, I would say, even time. Desensitized. But what happens is like this. There's actually, because of the lack of sophistication, there's actually, the pneumius is even greater. The pneumius is greater. And this is something this is something I think is incredibly important for our generation. And with something that you can practice this on Pesach, you can practice this the whole year, and you can practice your whole life. That name like this. I'm not nearly as sophisticated spiritually as even my own father was, or certainly the generations past. They're simply not at that level. They knew more than us. They learned more than us. The whole generation as a whole was more spiritually plugged in. I think it's just a fact. Our generation today, none of you have, most of you don't have kids. Any of you have kids, whatever, it doesn't matter. If you have kids, or if you see kids,
We're just all plugged into something else.
If you want to like be honest and for a second, it's what?
we're not less learned than ours. Like,
But yeah, I was thinking that also. We have so much more access
Yes.
That doesn't mean we're more learned. We may have more access,
to.
and some people may be more learned.
In time, like a few generations ago, they were able to like sit and learn whenever they wanted. Their lives were much harder.
Yeah, but
That's true.
In just 100 years ago, who knew like every single page of the Gemara with photographic memory?
And also that whole picture.
Access to the Gemara and all.
But do you know it in your
Yeah,
head?
on a hard drive. But I'm thinking more about like the picture of the Tillim Zagers in the shul. You go to any random shul in any random shtetl, and there'd be people who would say Tehillim with tears and really mean it, and even if they didn't even know how to, barely know how to read, that doesn't really exist so much today.
But
So-
also, isn't our generation compared to generation that was living Mitzrayim that was spiritually very low?
Yeah, and they experienced the Geula, exactly. That's what I'm driving at. Yes, I think so. So what I'm driving at is like this. When I'm driving at is like this. I'm not leaving you on a depressing note. Yeah, just bear with me for a second. What I'm driving at is that because this relates back to being a panini, being authentic. What I'm driving at is that our generation, stripped away from spiritual sophistication, is arriving at a place of spiritual authenticity.
Yeah, I feel like that's the thing that we have better than the previous.
Absolutely.
But isn't that the thing that really matters?
Like,
Absolutely. Yes, and that's why Mashiach is coming now.
it's almost like that's what us look at the older generation and they're like, no, like don't.
Ah, very good. Very good. So again, I don't know if it says it in the Sikha there. I mean, look at it yourself. But along those lines, and what we lack in our sophistication, we not only, and I think there's a direct correlation. That's the thing. There's a direct correlation. The more you strip away the sophistication, the more you strip away the
self-earned. Then it's like, oh, I am spiritual because I like earned it.
exactly. It becomes more and more authentic. And we earn it more. And that's what it means to be a primi. What it means to be a primi is, and that's going to be, this is our generation. I mean, I know it because I have kids, and I see it from my kids and my kids' friends and other kids and whoever. The generation is incredibly allergic to any hypocrisy, anything that's not 1,000% authentic. If it's not 1,000% authentic, they're completely not interested in it. So, and that's our avoid. What?
They're also very.
Absolutely.
They're all making shows.
Exactly. So that's you want to know what it means. So this is what I think. What it means to be a non-Nasivaki, you want to choose the king. It means to choose the king. You got to actually choose the king. Don't get distracted with anything else. Anything else is just distraction. Anything else is inauthentic. Anything else is not really the core. You want to go for the core. You want to drive mamish for the truth itself. So where do you do it? You do it in all many ways. You do it davening. You do any mitzvah you do, and that's why I just suggest. I do this myself. It comes to Pesach, like you were saying before, if you're just assuming people's chumras because and then I'm getting all neurotic about Pesach because you're told to be neurotic about Pesach, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and your kids will hate it. Trust me, I know. So the what's the alternative? The alternative is you have to pick one thing and go crazy for it. Not because you're neurotic. I mean, Jews are neurotic. Yes, that is a stereotype. But not because of that. Not because someone told you have to be. Not because you were raised to be that way. But because you found something that talks to you. You found something that talks to you, a chumrah, an extra mitzvah. I don't know, whatever it is. If you like coffee on Pesach and you want to be really machmir about Pesach, so you want to mamish fly to Ethiopia and pick your own beans, go for it. Fly to Ethiopia and pick your own beans. And someone said you're gonna come back and say, "You crazy? You flew to Ethiopia to pick your own beans?" Yeah, I did it for Hashem. That's right.
And
your
if you
kids,
find that it would definitely
What?
not be for Hashem.
okay, whatever. Fine.
Yeah, it would be to go to Ethiopia.
Fine. So go to places alone. You know, but the point is, find some or you daven. You know, davening can no longer be this thing that you just do by exercise. If we keep on davening that way, I know it for myself and now from people around. Like, if we keep on davening just because someone told us to and saying mumbling words for half hours, it's not going to last. It's not going to work. Our kids will not daven if they see us davening like that. I know that firsthand. No one who wants to sit mumble words for half hour. I mean, nothing. It's ridiculous. It's insane. It's insane. A grown adult, you're sitting every day mumbling half hour words. You have no idea what they mean, and having it on your phone half the time, anyways. That's insane. Completely
alternative.
insane. The first alternative is first put away the phone. That's number one. That's number one. Yes, I'm a year already. I go to show. I don't bring my phone. So that's number one. You can't. That's number. And number two. Once you're there, find something. I'm not going to spend the whole hour. I don't even something. One part of Shemoneh Esrei, something. Whatever tefillah works for you. Find something. It has to be the way. If it's not going to last.
Oh,
Done. It's a crash land.
Thank you.
I mean, I could rant about this the whole day.
what is the connection of that idea to get off Nssan? Like, why did the Rabbi?
Oh, I was just trying it for the Myra. That's a good question. Let's expand upon your question.
I always have the same question.
I started learning it recently. I'm not done, but I was like what's like? I understand like the Rebbe's whole thing with Hashem, so it's like my birthday. Let's talk about my favorite thing, but like, what's exactly the
How's it connected to the theme of Aleph? You're asking me? Well, I was actually thinking about that today. You want the honest answer is I can only tell you what I'm thinking about today. So I told you what I thought about today. You want me to connect to the obvious with you? I can easily do that. Want me to?
What were you thinking about today?
What?
What were you thinking about today?
Whatever I just told you.
Oh, just this.
Yeah. Me today, the past few days. Meaning, I'm not gonna. No, you wanted to know what's the connection to Aleph. So the honest answer is I'm gonna sit for an hour and tell you things that I feel for. So whatever I'm brewing in my heart and in my soul, that's what I'm gonna share with you. You want to know how I can connect to Aleph? That's pretty easy. I'm gonna try.
With that intro, yes.
What?
Pretty easy. Go.
No, it's like people speak every week on the parsha, right? So the secret is that you speak about whatever you need to speak about, and then you connect with the parsha. It's like the people, like people who are good at speaking, right? Shavrachas, right? So you have 5 good shavrachas. You have 5 good ideas, and then you just connect it to whatever. So no, but I was thinking about this actually. You're lucky. I actually thought about it for half a second. And I think the Rebbe himself spoke many times. Nssan Farbrengen is because if you think about it, someone celebrating their own birthday is a little bit of a weird thing to do. It's not a Jewish thing. It's not Yiddish. Jews didn't celebrate their birthdays historically, right? We know that, right? So it's the Rebbe's thing, right? Obviously, the Rebbe mentioned this many times. The only time a birthday mentioned in the Torah is when? All right, so not a very good guy.
Wasn't that like the whole thing against birthdays was never a Chabad? Like it was other communities who are saying against the birthday thing.
Maybe, but we were never.
I didn't know there was something.
What do you mean?
Nobody just.
Yeah, like Hasidic people like don't know their birthday.
No, it's not a thing. It's not a Yiddish Zach. It's not a Yiddish
They
Zach.
know their
Birthdays.
birthdays very well, their English birthdays.
I know, but think about the older Chassidim.
Celebrate
Before the Rebbe instituted the thing about the older Chassidim from the previous, like 2 generations back, the ones that were, especially the ones who were in Russia and changing their papers every other day, they themselves didn't even know how old they were. They legitimately did not know how old they were. Certainly, they didn't know when they were born. Birthday wasn't a thing. The Rebbe made it a thing, and the Rebbe had to justify it. The Rebbe did have to justify it. And I was just translating a sikha today, a sikha Aleph Nssan sikha, and the Rebbe begins the sikha with a justification. The Chayr was gathering here together for the birthday of one person, which makes no sense, right? And what's the Rebbe's answer? What? What's the Rebbe's answer? If we can use it to be ma'aseh in Torah mitzvahs in your Shemaim, then all the better. So now, where does that approach go?
Valid reason.
What?
Like I said, today is I don't know. Today is make up a
The Rebbe saw an opportunity. Meaning, if you're boxing,
National Pizza Day, let's say a shared of our Torah.
Yeah.
if it's about pizza, go for it.
So what's pizza parsha, lunch and learn to study?
100%.
Would the Rebbe get behind that?
For sure.
Guarantee.
For sure.
I don't know, would the Rebbe mind if you made a Cinco de Mayo celebration? Use this for I don't know, but I don't know where the exact board boundaries of that idea are. But the core idea, that namely that the Rebbe wasn't boxed in to serving Hashem based on the Rebbe wasn't certain that the boxing it wasn't boxed into these ideas because the Rebbe taught us how to serve Hashem to serve Hashem, not to serve ourselves. So when you serve Hashem to serve Hashem, so that a birthday, the Rebbe saw a very ripe opportunity. People like birthdays, right? What's everyone's favorite word?
Right.
And the second favorite word?
Me?
Mine.
Yeah.
What?
Your own name.
Really?
You don't like the sound of your own name?
I mean, all the pre-1Ers are busy writing their own name. They're busy proving how they can write their own name.
I think most people like hearing the sound of their own name. I mean, I could be wrong, but
We're very humble
I see that. Either humble or not very honest with themselves. One of the two. So most people like the sound of their own name. And what's everyone's favorite day? It's their birthday. Who doesn't like their birthday? And who doesn't want to be seen? Who doesn't want to be seen and celebrated on their birthday? Everybody wants to be seen and celebrated. You wake up in the morning, you have a little puff in your chest, you feel, you walk across the street, you say, well, you want to stop the person? It's my birthday today, You want to do that. Come on, you want to do that. You don't want to do that? You don't want to?
I think that will be our invite down our next birthday collectively.
You don't want to do that?
Everybody has to walk around with a happy birthday.
So I think it's a pretty universal thing. So the Rebbe felt the opportunity. Let's use it.
The truth is that every day is our birthday because Hashem creates us every day again.
It's true.
So we can celebrate every day.
That's true. It's less immediate, but it's true.
What's the connection to this? Just that like the Rebbe's like, hey, it's my birthday, let's talk about my favorite thing.
Right. So let's serve Hashem because we want to serve Hashem, not because it's about me or it's not about you. It's about Hashem.
Interesting, so taking the very day that's about yourself and refocusing it.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Only someone who really serves Hashem could make a celebration of their own birthday and totally get away with it. And that's what the Rebbe did.
Yeah, a friend of mine, she was like, it's my birthday, come to my birthday Farbrengen. And it was like so adult, you know? You know, like if an adult says, it's my birthday, come to my birthday, we're like, whatever, who are you? But it's birthday Farbrengen, so it's okay, you know?
Exactly. As long as it's not spiritual bypass.
Just triggered your permission to have a birthday party.
Anybody else question, comments, objections?
So, we're talking about how like we're in giant shoulders, and we're saying like that at this point we're like building on top of the previous actions. Is that supposed to be something that we could see in this world? How we're this generation is the culmination of something, or something just spiritual up there?
The short answer is I don't know. I guess if you're plugged in enough, you could see it.
I would.
I'm not saying I'm that person, but I don't know.
The speed at which like technology and things have evolved, I feel like kind of
I was gonna say,
like
yeah,
hints to that in a way.
Okay.
like, you know.
I mean, I don't have a definitive answer, but if you feel it and see it, then for sure.
It's like in many ways you see that we're building on everything.
It's not supposed to be technical. You're supposed to feel it. So you'll get there maybe.
Wow, thank you so much. It was incredible.
You're very welcome.
I also want to give a very special thank you to our sponsor for tonight. Today was the yurtzeit of Elka Rochel Bas Feivel Gedalia. First yurtzeit, and later on in the week it's her birthday. So she should have an aliyas and neshama. Her whole family should be healed, and we should all be reunited with her and all of our loved ones in the audience. Mashiach right now.
Amen.
May everybody have an incredible, beautiful rest of your preps for Pesach, and may we, every year I say Yud Aleph Nssan. This year I'm gonna really do a great hachana. I'm gonna do something major. So thank you so much for being the great hachana and the major.
Hope so.
We're so lucky to have you. Thank you everybody for coming. Kosher for Ahrele Pesach. Thank you.
Ask.
Yes.
Sure.
Give me one.